Jesus spends the days of the Passover week in Jerusalem, teaching, having conversations with people. But he spends the evening, and we assume the nights as well, in the little village just outside of the city called Bethany. It was a place that he knew well. It was a place where his friends Mary and Martha and Lazarus lived, a place that he had from time to time retreated to when he needed a little bit of space. And one evening he is having dinner there at the house of Simon when a woman comes in and breaks a jar of expensive perfume over Jesus' feet, and she anoints him with the perfume. And some of the disciples are indignant, and they say, we could have sold that perfume, we could have used the money to help the poor. But Jesus says, no, this is an offering. This is an act of worship. And it comes back a little bit to what we were saying yesterday in terms of what does it mean to give our best to Jesus? What does it mean to give our everything to Jesus? But something else happens on that event as well. At least in Mark's version of the gospel, it's that moment that Judas Iscariot decides that he is going to go to the religious leaders in the city and make a deal with them to betray Jesus. One of the other gospels, it's Judas that raises the objections, and there's a little note in brackets that said Judas wasn't bothered about the poor. He was annoyed because he was the holder of the purse. And it makes me wonder, how does Judas spend 3 years with Jesus, walking around with him, seeing everything that he does, the healings, the miracles, listening to him teach, and yet somehow so completely misses the point. He so completely misses Jesus' intention. And the only thing I can think, the only explanation I can give, is that Judas just isn't listening. He thinks that Jesus' agenda and his agenda are the same. And he comes to realise that that's not the case. And it makes me ask, how well do we listen to Jesus? Or how well do we assume that Jesus' agenda is the same as our agenda? And we see it, don't we, time and time again in church life, not necessarily the life of TBC, but in the church around the world. We see all kind of high-profile stories where leaders have clearly misunderstood Jesus' point. We need to be reading our scripture. We need to be listening to other Christian friends that we trust. We need to be praying. We need to be in conversation with Jesus. But most importantly of all, we need to be open to hearing his voice. We need to be open to hearing what he has to say to us, so that we don't misunderstand his intention for our lives and for the lives of those around us.